And on December 11th, 2000, with a shower of fireworks, Amtrak's Acela Express became America's first high-speed rail service. Over the past 25 years, the backbone of the Acela Express were these train sets that inaugurated the service back in the year 2000. The Acela service has since seen great success. Out of all the routes that Amtrak operates, only the Northeast Regional has a higher capacity and ridership than the Acela service. But these trains are getting old, and worse than getting old, these trains are either running out of spare parts or completely out of spare parts. In 2016, in anticipation of the old train sets ultimately being retired, Amtrak ordered 28 Avelia Liberty train sets, and revealed the concept of the design in a video which, you gotta admit, is still pretty cool even today. After 9 years of building, testing, issues with the trains, issues with the models to run the trains on, you have to watch How to Get Around's video on the history of the Acela service to actually understand all that. The new trains finally went into service on August 28th, 2025, and just like in the year 2000, fireworks were set off to reveal that the new trains were here. These trains are the first of a vast amount of new rolling stock to replace Amtrak's aging fleet, and as we will see eventually later on, they will ultimately not be the last. But with the arrival of new trains comes the ultimate departure of old trains. For a while, I have wanted to ride the Acela Express. However, now that the new trains are entering into service, I had wanted to get a ride on the old Acela trains before they're ultimately retired. And through some convincing my dad, that's what Dad and I ultimately did. Part 1 will take us on the ride on the MARC train, as well as ride the Acela Express from Washington D.C. to New York City. Part 2 will continue the rest of the way from New York City over to Long Island, and then through Connecticut, and all the way to Boston. We will also take an additional ride on the MBTA for a bit. Given the Avelia Liberty sets are now in service, I can't guarantee that the original Acelas will last longer. Many of the original sets have already been retired in favor of the newer sets, and some are now being used for spare parts until the last of the original sets are retired. Hopefully one day I'll be able to ride on the new Acela sets and determine my own conclusions of the new Acela sets from there. For now though, let's go on the original Acela Express and take a ride on the original Acela Express sets before there are no other chances. First things first though, we actually have to get to the East Coast. And unfortunately, that requires us to go by plane. Though this time, we're gonna have to take Frontier. So this time, we're only going to be going one stop over to the A gate. Excuse me? Also, this time I got on this side to where the train would be going backwards. So enjoy the ride while we're going backwards.
The doors are closing.
Please watch your step.
After getting off at the A-Gate station, we got on our Frontier plane, which was delayed and constantly gate changed. Unfortunately, the actual video of this taxiing and eventual takeoff is like 9 minutes long, so it took us like 10 minutes for us to actually get to the runway from the apron, so I'm gonna skip over a lot of this video. Hope y'all don't mind. Also, I hope I got the aviation terminology correct. We're eventually going to take that airline over there home, but that'll be in part 2. There's also a maintenance hangar over there, as United Airlines has had Denver as a hub for generations at this point. Hell, United Airlines had a hub at Stapleton International Airport before DIA replaced Stapleton. We are now going to depart Denver and head on over to Dallas-Fort Worth, or DFW. Alright, we're at takeoff power. Some flying later, we made it to DFW International Airport. DFW is a major hub for American Airlines, but we're flying Frontier, and I think we're having a better time on Frontier than American. So I eventually saw a Qantas plane while on the apron, and before getting off, I saw a plane from Frontier marked for Davis the Mexican Spotted Owl. We would eventually get onto a plane bound for BWI Airport. I, fortunately and unfortunately, was not able to record the takeoff and or landing of the second leg to BWI. Fortunately, because it saves time for us to get to the actual Northeast Corridor stuff. Unfortunately, because I was not able to record the wild ride that we had while landing at BWI Airport, because dear God, there was so much turbulence for miles, and I thought we were going to somehow crash, despite there being like a 4% chance of actually dying in a plane crash. Remind me to slow down in watching Mayday air crash investigation episodes for a bit. Now that we're at BWI, I changed from using my phone camera to my DSLR camera, as well as changed from my old profile pic to my current profile pic.
7 minutes. What the hell?
However, the bus that would have taken us to the BWI Airport Station was taking agonizingly long, and the ATA kept on switching from 7 minutes to 6 minutes, and back to 7 minutes. And thank God there weren't any Gen Alpha children around watching the ETA, or else I'd want to commit... well... starts with an S and ends with an E. And it would probably get me demonetized.
Oh, now it's starting to say 6 minutes.
After several minutes of getting agonized about the ETA switching from 7 minutes to 6 minutes and back, and praying that there aren't any Gen Alpha children coming around, finally, we eventually got on our bus and head to BWI Airport Station. After getting off at the airport station, we bought some tickets for the MARC train to head to Washington Union Station. Over there is Amtrak's famous Northeast Corridor. So many different kinds of trains went up and down the Northeast Corridor, including multiple Amtrak train names, which agonized me to all hell and back making a previous video. Thankfully, it's easier today with the Regional as well as the Acela, plus a couple of other state and long-distance trains.
Nice! Oh, dude, that was dirty.
Speaking of trains, here comes an Acela service that's arriving at BWI Airport, bound for Washington. Unfortunately, we're not taking this kind of train until the next day, so...
This, unfortunately, is not the train we're going to be riding on.
Is this the new one?
Old one.
What do you mean it's not the train? Is this the...
Yeah. Yeah, these are the old trains. After this fall, they won't be in service on Amtrak.
I mentioned how I said that later that year, the original Acela Express train sets will not be in service with Amtrak. That has been a rumor that I've supposedly heard online. Supposedly, because the original Acela Express train sets that have been in use since the service began in 2000 are now being replaced with the Avelia Liberty train sets that finally went to service last year, there is some kind of brake inspection or certificate deadline that the old Acela train sets are reaching over this year that Amtrak isn't in the mood to renew, as the new Acela trains are entering service and replacing old Acela trains on round trip after round trip. Amtrak probably sees this renewal deadline and thinking, what's the goddamn point of renewing the certificates if they're not going to be in service much longer? And a recent presentation has just confirmed those rumors that the original Acela train sets are going to be gone by the end of this year, unless something else were to happen. Speaking of the original Acelas, this train is now departing BWI Airport.
Abilities do not fail me now.
Unfortunately, my DSLR camera's picture taking is a bitch. And by the time I was able to get this picture, a Northeast Regional train was already entering the station. That regional train is being pulled by an ACS 64, These were ordered from Siemens in 2010 when Amtrak was seeking a replacement for their AEM-7s and HHP-8s. The locomotives are based on the Siemens Eurosprinter locomotive, used on many regional and intercity trains on railways like České dráhy, Österreichischen Bundesbahnen, and Deutschbahn. They work pretty well on the NEC with the non-Acela trains, and I think the ACS 64s made Amtrak realize that standardization of equipment was a thing that reduces operating costs and therefore maintenance as well as ticket prices.
Dad, did you know that this train is more heavily ridden on than the Acela? That train on the other track. The train on the other track is more heavily ridden than the Acela.
What is this train?
That's the Northeast Regional. It's basically oh,
this is just like all the other trains we have been on.
It's like practically.
It's so loud.
I'm talking loudly? Oh my.
Everybody can hear you.
Am I?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm tone deaf or something.
Everybody can hear you while you're talking.
Yeah, the other train is pretty much like most of the other trains on the corridor.
I was saying like that we have ridden, like Amtrak's that we have ridden is similar to those, right? You don't know.
Yeah, it kinda. It's certain.
It doesn't have those sleepers.
That doesn't have. These trains run during the daytime, so they don't have the sleepers.
Eric said that
Maybe this train used to have. Actually, no. There's another locomotive down there, so this can't be one of those sleeper trains that I've heard about. No, this can't be so that can't be the overnight 65, 66, or 67.
what's this?
Oh, stand back! I genuinely have no clue.
Can you find out?
It definitely had. It certainly had two cars.
Did you get it on video?
Yes, I got it on video. I've been recording the whole time.
Maybe you can
My only assumption is that it's engineer training.
A flight passes overhead before the next train arrives.
I think that could be JetBlue, maybe.
Another regional train will arrive and depart this station before the next train, a MARC train, will take us to Washington. Unfortunately, as this regional train was entering the station, it unfortunately blocked me from getting a shot of the northbound Carolinian.
Holy crap! Oh my god, the alert to notify that the doors were closing was a telephone ring. Damn, why couldn't I?
You didn't catch it on video?
Yeah, I wasn't recording. Damn it!
Way too much.
Thank God you own a small business, or I'd think about union. Just kidding. Kidding. I know you don't own a small business. Low on a big business.
Honestly, it just sucks.
MARC does occasionally use the wires, but that depends on what kind of locomotive is leading.
Depends on the size, not the same size.
Southwest. I know. Too bad Elliot took over Southwest. Finally.
The train that we're going to be riding on, a MARC train, is now about to arrive at the station.
It's nice to get my ticket.
Oh, looks like this is one of the trains that don't run with the wires.
Calm down? Okay, I'll go with
Actually, forget it.
Did it in Canada. Just rise.
Not enter the vestibule until the train has come to a complete stop. Please watch your step, and thank you for riding MARC train service. Have a nice day.
A few moments later, our MARC train departs the station.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this was Uncle Eric's idea. You didn't even think of this, did you? I don't know what I pay you for.
I thought of
I
this.
don't know what I pay you for.
I thought of doing this ever since I found out that we were going to BWI.
I heard Uncle Eric say it first. Did you read the safety instructions? Well, safety first. It says, don't jump on the tracks. And that's it.
Yes, unlike some people, yeah, I know. Unlike some people, I am not completely stupid.
Harrison. I'm not talking like that. Is there food on this train? I'm kind of interested in the drink. Think there's a drink somewhere?
I don't think there are. These commuter trains don't have
I think
snack
he's
cars.
the guy down there. Harrison, my bag's here.
Okay. Told you so. Told you these trains didn't have snack cars.
Okay. Just wanted to check, you know. Doesn't hurt. Verify. Does it?
Yeah.
All I can say is that I wish a lot of these commuter trains / regional trains had snack cars. Fortunately, Metra is trying to do something similar right now, and I honestly hope that
there are
catches
some
on.
stops that this train makes during rush hour, but I think it's after rush hour, so... Also, man, on the up...
Like if a couple of big cities are like an hour apart, a lot of them have this kind of thing, right? Like one train that just goes back and forth between the cities, right?
Yeah. At least it should be that way for a good couple of cities. You know, it kind of feels as... No, for some reason on double-decker trains, whenever you're on the top deck, it feels as if you're going slower than you actually are.
Really?
Probably, anyways.
Buddy, looks like a successful first day of travel.
Yep.
Wasn't sure about the frontier lines. To be honest with you. Yeah, pretty critical to the whole trip, so. Because, you know, we bought the special rate.
And
you can't change our train ticket. Did you know that? We bought a special rate. I didn't even realize that we bought some rate that you couldn't change.
oh wow. Thank goodness the
Planes got there.
yeah. And thank God that the storm and turbulence didn't take us down.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
My window seat, I took a picture. It was like
We're now arriving at our next station stop, Odenton.
It was like cloud
Open
sandwich.
platform inside of Odenton. Be mindful of the gap
I
between
have this
train
picture.
station
It's like
platform.
cloud sandwich.
Odenton,
And
now
2 layers of
arriving.
clouds.
Wow.
Come on over here, dude.
Yeah, problem. Definitely would seem a lot easier than having to take a.
We made our stop, and now we're on our way
train.
again.
Probably be easier to take a train a short distance between two destinations than to have to take a train a long distance.
Bowie State
between two
University, go to the next
destinations.
station stop. Now the doors are open at Bowie. You can only exit from the first 3 cars of the train. Bowie State University, next station stop.
Arriving at Bowie State. Not all doors will open. Please exit the train where you see a member of the crew.
Now arriving, Bowie State University, now arriving. Our next station stop will be New Carrollton, next station stop.
Time for all these stops, seriously.
For what?
Long time for all these stops.
Don't worry, New Carrollton will be the last stop before the final destination.
New Carrollton, that's the one coming up.
Yeah.
I kid you not, literally 5 seconds after I completed taking this shot, the northbound Palmetto came through.
Oh my god. Sorry. I got surprised. Oh hey, that's the old Washington Metro.
We're now riding the next station, stop New Carrollton. New Carrollton now riding. You know, you exit the first 3 cars of the train for New Carrollton. Once again, you exit the first 3 cars of the train for New Carrollton. Be mindful of the gap between train and station platform. New Carrollton now riding.
At New Carrollton, there's a rail fan on the station platform, but not just any rail fan. He's somebody that I know well, Mike Studios. He's also the editor of my scripts in Engines of the Rio Grande, as well as the guy who helped me with the inactive Amtrak trains list. But he told me that he doesn't want his face being shown, so I'm gonna cover up his face. Hello! Yeah, how you doing?
Finally good to meet you.
Very good to see you. Yeah, sorry, I don't look exactly that good in real life, but you have a good day. For some reason, it took a couple of minutes for our MARC train to leave, but in the meantime, New Carrollton is also the end of the Washington Metro. It is also set to be the terminus for the MTA Purple Line, which thankfully is opening pretty soon. Probably next year, though. Mike Studios eventually started recording the train I was on as I was departing.
That was Mike Studios. He's the guy who helps edit my Engines of the Rio Grande episodes.
He probably has uploaded a video of it by this point. If he does do a face reveal video, I may share the unedited version of these videos.
We're currently working on the Cruise Morphe ML4000's episodes as of the making of this video. So yeah, look forward to that pretty soon.
Hey, I just made that video.
Next station stop is the last station, Washington Union Station, with connections to Amtrak, Virginia Railway Express, and Washington Metro Rail Red Line.
Time for another stop.
Relax, Dad, this will be our last stop. You won't have to worry about trains until tomorrow. Smile and wave, boys. Smile. Ooh.
If you're wondering what those blue lights are for, those are for the Washington Metro. I'm not 100% sure what their exact use is, but I presume it could be for possibly maintenance of way for those who do maintenance on the Washington Metro at night. Though it doesn't take long before we break off from the Washington Metro.
Not a big fan of the government. I'm not a big fan of the government. I'm not a big fan of the government. I'm not a big fan of the government.
Ooh, 130. And an LC-42. Ooh, as well as...
Final station stop, Washington. Washington Union Station will be coming up. Union Station, last station stop.
Go Broncos. Yeah, Broncos.
Thankfully, I'll get more of the Washington Yard in the morning.
Are you recording me? It's illegal to record me. I'm thinking
Shut up, you're not that one woman in Vienna.
For those wondering what I'm referring to, it's this.
Entschuldigung, filmst du da? Are you filming?
Yeah.
You can't film people on the street just like that. I mean, what you're doing, you're filming for the last 15 minutes.
A full video of it already exists, so let's get back to the Northeast Corridor.
It's not filming, it's recording. I don't think there are even laws against taking video in Vienna, though.
I don't know where it's.
Finally, I decided to sit on the other side of the train.
Virginia Railway Express. Actually, that wouldn't be so bad for me. Especially since in these areas they're mostly going at slow speeds.
That station over there is NoMa-Gallaudet U, which opened in 2006. It is probably one of, if not the most high-risk, high-reward rail fanning locations that you can find anywhere. Why high-risk, high-reward? Well, look at that train in the station and take a wild guess from there.
Upper luggage storage areas and seating areas for your personal belongings. Please be considerate of other passengers boarding on later trips by depositing trash and newspapers in appropriate containers on the train, platform, or station. Thank you for riding MARC train service.
We're now arriving at our final station stop, Washington Union Station. Now arriving, please take this time now to gather up any personal belongings. Please double check the seating area around you for any remaining items. On behalf of the MARC crew, let's thank you for choosing MARC this evening. Be mindful of the gap between the train and the station platform. Now arriving, Washington Union Station.
Thank you. Well, we made it.
I take some photos of the MARC train, as well as some photos inside Union Station itself, before we eventually met up with one of my uncles to head to a Detroit-style pizza place, and eventually my Grandpa Bob's place, where we'd stay the night until going back to Union Station the next day. It's the next day, and we're at Union Station after we had some breakfast. Also, to anyone who skipped the past like 40 minutes or so, hooray, you know what a timestamp is. Though you missed a bit of me meeting one of my online friends in person. Don't worry though, he also came to Union Station and saw me as well. We're now heading out to the train, and over there is an ACS 64 on a train for what I presume to be either arrived, or it's either a Northeast Regional train or the Vermonter about to depart. Most likely a regional train though. And here's the Acela train we're about to get on.
Yeah.
We boarded the train, though Dad was playing Shipping Up to Boston while I was recording the train in this scene, so yeah, I'm not risking losing my monetization money. Maybe share it, but not lose all of it. We're going to be riding in car 5, which is near the front of the train in the direction of travel we'll be going in.
Traveling to Boston where the intermediate station stops. Please look down at your ticket to make sure you
Down over by the through platforms is some train that has a baggage car on it, but I'm unsure exactly which train that is.
Make sure you are reading the correct car, seat, and row. Once again, welcome aboard Amtrak 2166, scheduled departure time for Washington at 12.
Why does he know, you know he's here and he knows you're here?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I think he at least lives somewhere around here, and we knew each other since we talk a bit on Discord, and he actually helps edit scripts for some of my videos.
Yeah.
So that train right there is the regular regional train.
That one?
Yeah.
The one that's the same as the one we saw the other day?
Yeah, it's similar at least.
We're gonna start soon.
I then started to hit record again because I heard a bell as well as a horn. As it turns out, that bell was the Northeast Regional being led by Amtrak Veterans Unit 642.
Sweet!
I have seen one Veterans Unit before, 42, but this is my first time ever seeing 642. As an interesting note, a lot of the Fleet 1 cafe cars usually have the Northeast Regional brand on the sides, which would be a bit confusing for those riding Fleet 1 cars on trains that aren't the Northeast Regional, like the Cascades.
Internet or signals, or were some of these, or did Amtrak attempt to rebuild some of these cars into EMUs at one point?
I then took a photo of 642 from a distance because I was not in the mood to try and get a photo up close because the departure time was nearing. And I wasn't interested in getting left behind either.
Hey.
Oh yeah, me too. So hopefully she's going on first. Yeah. I got it up there. I don't know who's getting it down.
I then took a photo right here before I eventually settled back into my seat and the train would then depart.
Miss a beat. Miss a beat, Ashley.
Alright.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard 2166, traveling north to Boston, with intermediate stations.
Is he on this train, that guy?
No, I think he's just a regular rail fan. And I think he'll likely be on the platforms of NoMa, of a nearby red line stop. Right, 12:55. Are we gonna roll?
Welcome aboard. The first station stop coming up will be Baltimore Penn Station.
Guess we're having limited stops.
What does that mean?
Like
Skipping the ones between here?
yeah, skipping some stops between here and Baltimore, like New Carrollton and BWI Airport. We're rolling. It's moving.
Oh, you got me.
We're rolling now. Next stop, Baltimore.
Do travel at high speed, so for your safety, please look up. Make sure all of the overhead storage bins are completely closed and shut. Once again, we do travel at high speeds on the Acela Express, so please look up. Make sure all of those overhead storage bins are completely closed and shut.
We're at one point going to hit 160.
Oh, really?
Actually, I think it'll... Actually, at least that's the max allowed speed on one particular section.
MARC rosters some of the original SC-44s with the half-bullet nose that makes it look like the designers placed a subway/commuter EMU nose at the very front of the Charger nose. Here's a bunch of other SC-44s that MARC also rosters, as well as at least one MPI MP Express.
Oh, they're doing some maintenance. I saw this tower before.
How long is this ride? 7 hours?
Yeah, somewhere around 7 hours.
As we depart Washington Union Station, an Acela Express train using one of the original sets arrives at Union Station.
tickets.
Also, remember how I said that NoMa was high risk, high reward? Yeah, that's the reason why.
Ah, there he is.
And there's Mike again.
The dude in the blue jacket is on the platform.
Oh,
Yeah. Mike Studios.
We're passing by the Washington Terminal Yard. Both MARC and
Contrast
VRE
between
trains
night
are
and day is
stored and
huge.
maintained here.
Same thing. Let me give you a phone number. 1-800 872 7245.
I am the spy.
Those are the Spy TF2 train sets, aka the Avelia Liberties, that were built by Alstom starting in 2017 and began arriving in 2021. However, the train sets went through development and approval hell before they ultimately entered into service on the Acela Express last year. How We Get Around has a video where he explains it far better than I ever could, but because of things like the fact that the Avelia was a brand new platform, new regulatory standards where the Avelia Liberty was the first train built with newer regulatory standards, lack of Alstom data on the NEC, the original Acelas were almost entirely made by Bombardier, so the original sets are all maple syrup sets, as well as the laundry list of issues that it turned out the new sets had, plus the lack of a computer model for the Avelia that took 14 tries. It took 4 years for the Avelias to enter service. Once in service though, they have been running with little to no issues from what I've been hearing. I guess those 4 years allowed for all the other internal issues to be fixed before it entered service. I also may or may not have been listening to Freebird during this section of the ride. Since this train has limited stops, we raced through New Carrollton at practically full speed.
Welcome aboard Amtrak Cascades Airo. We'd like to extend a special welcome to our Amtrak Guest Rewards members. All luggage must be visibly tagged with your name and contact information. When moving about the train, be prepared for unexpected train movements and remember to get grip and hold on to handrails, luggage suppliers, seatbelts, or tables for standing or walking through the train. Should you need assistance, please ask a crew member. Umbrellas have assigned seating throughout the train, and empty seating is no longer offered. All seats are designated by car, row, and seat number. To verify that you're located in the correct seat, please refer to your ticket and posted signs for car and seat locations. If you are seated...
attendant informed that the cafe car is now open. Again, the cafe car is now open. We accept all major credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay. Cash is not accepted. Go to the rules. Thank you for riding on Amtrak. Have a great day.
Turkey hurt.
Yeah. We passed by the BWI Airport Station where we were yesterday, and clearly it's a stark difference between night and day. With all these buildings and bridges coming up, we are currently nearing Baltimore Penn Station. Railway line down there. Piece of shit. already? Oh my god, we are already at Baltimore.
We are currently traveling underneath the Baltimore and Potomac tunnels, which were built back in the 1870s when Ulysses S. Grant was president and when 440s dominated America. And because of the age of the tunnel, the speed inside the tunnel is 30 miles per hour at best. Good news is, they're building a pair of new tunnels to increase the speed to 100 miles per hour. Bad news is, they're opening in 2035.
This area won't
it's gonna be a bit.
Problem since they're building.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes we will be arriving at our first station stop, downtown Baltimore, Pennsylvania. If you're exiting in Baltimore, take the time to gather your personal belongings, check around your area, and make your way to the nearest exit. Downtown Baltimore Penn Station is coming up.
Do you know that these tunnels are from when Ulysses S. Grant was president? Yeah, they're going to replace these tunnels with 2 new tunnels that allow trains to reach 100 miles per hour. Though for freight service, these tunnels will stay open.
If you couldn't tell, my dad was just busy, or at least pretending to be interested.
Arriving downtown Baltimore Penn Station. All doors will open on the left, please watch your steps. Baltimore Penn Station now arriving, please watch your steps.
We're arriving at Baltimore Penn Station, which was the PRR's main Baltimore station for its trains, as well as a stop on the Western Maryland before its terminus at Hill Station, which is unfortunately now a backdrop of ugly parking lots. Thankfully, this station still exists, and it's now stopped for all Amtrak trains and MARC II. I also went to this station once last year, and you can see that in my 2025 NEC, BNORRM, and Western Maryland trip video. At least part 1. We're departing Baltimore Penn Station. Next stop, Wilmington. Before officially leaving Baltimore, we passed underneath a pair of tunnels that I genuinely didn't know existed until this trip.
How long is
this tunnel?
I honestly don't know. Maybe 2 miles? Oh, we're out of it now.
Also, when putting the motions, door correctly, not like the rest of the door slide over. Keep out the door. And listen, now it's not going. Now I have to check the line. I'm going around checking the collect more trash, decide what items, such as $50 a can, one bag, the other is trash. And I'll let you know. Here's your card. One can right over 21, 21. Go to your ship.
for your reference, I cannot continuously wait, so I'll give it time only up to 50 minutes.
I don't know what happened. Like, I know it's not your fault, but the refund comes 15 minutes before the trains to leave. Anything to refund.
I'm so sorry.
That is NS's Bayview Yard, and an NS train is also at the yard as well, headed by two AC-44 C6Ms, which are basically pretty common along Norfolk Southern.
Get a person to help you out? Customer service? Fix them with Amtrak and be like, oh, I see what's happening.
This junction before the Gunpowder River Bridge is unfortunately the site of the 1987 Chase, Maryland train collision. A set of Conrail engines were being transferred to Enola Yard from Bayview Yard. However, the crew were smoking marijuana joints, and someone silenced a whistle that would have alerted them that they were going to hit a red signal at speed with duct tape. By the time they realized it, they had passed the signals at the Gunpowder interlocking before the Gunpowder River Bridge, and had strayed in front of Amtrak's Colonial, running late and trying to make up for lost time. When it rounded a blind corner and spotted the Conrail engines, the engineer, Jerome Evans, hit the emergency brakes, but it was already far too late. The train hit the Conrail engines with the force of 320 pounds of TNT going off, and eventually 16 people, including the engineer, died. The prototype AEM-7 was also on that train, and it was written off too, along with 903 and one of the other Conrail engines. The engineer of the Conrail locomotives, Ricky Gates, was eventually charged for manslaughter by locomotive and sentenced to 5 years in prison. Years later, he has admitted that his marijuana use was what caused the crash. From the looks of it, he has regretted it ever since. It just goes to show how much harm can come when someone is irresponsible with substances or even uses substances in the first place. We just passed by an Avelia set. When I made the trip, they were using the Avelias on mostly limited services of the Acela Express. However, with more of the original sets being retired, Avelia sets are being used more and more on the more limited services of the Acela Express. It likely will be on all the Acela Express trains by either the end of this year or sometime next year. Speaking of the Gunpowder River Bridge, as mentioned earlier, this is one of the many structures on the railroad that have been built over 110 years ago, and because of it, Amtrak is expected to replace it with a brand new bridge that is expected to carry 4 tracks rather than 2 tracks. If recent documents by the FRA are to be believed, construction for the new bridge could begin as early as October 2028 and wrap up by 2034. Time will tell if that ends up becoming the real timeline.
Just look at Frontier alerts.
You know, until now, Baltimore is as far along this line that I went because, you know, Grandpa Cass and I went to the B&O Railroad Museum.
Yeah.
This is the Bush River Bridge. It is also said to be replaced in the near future and will be another 4-track bridge like the Gunpowder River Bridge, as well as the upcoming Susquehanna River Bridge. I honestly at this point want to believe that they're going to make the entire NEC a 4-track rail line, but again, time will tell in that regard.
Try this alleged Amtrak Cafe.
Alright.
What do you think?
Sure.
They don't come by, right?
No, they don't come by. We can walk to the cafe though.
Do you want to, or do you want to stay here?
I'm not hungry at the moment, so...
I just want to get coffee.
Okay. Okay, I don't mind some coffee.
You wouldn't mind some? Bringing back 2 coffees is going to be tough. Because you need one hand to help to like hold the wall.
Yeah.
I'll bring back one and we can share it.
Okay.
Do you know where it is or no?
Back there. The cafe's back there.
How many cars?
1.
Okay.
By the way, from what I've heard on the Avelia sets, the ride isn't nearly as shaky since the Avelia sets are on Jason's bogies. But I'll have to eventually see that for myself if I eventually ride the Avelias. Anyways, at this point my camera was getting a little hot, and concerned that my camera would just start canceling a recording because of how hot the camera was, I decided to use my phone for a bit. We passed by an older set heading southbound. We're crossing the Susquehanna River Bridge. This bridge is also slated to be replaced, but unlike the previous two bridges, the Susquehanna River Bridge project is actually in progress. As the bridge is currently in pre-construction, the actual construction has yet to start, but it is said to be completed around 2036 or something.
That bridge is gonna eventually get replaced with a 4-track bridge.
However, I realized that my camera actually wasn't really in danger of potentially, stomping on me, so I switched back to my camera. We also passed by what I presume to be a maintenance of way yard. We're passing through Newark, Delaware, home to the University of Delaware, and we're passing by one of the first of many stops on SEPTA. Despite SEPTA standing for Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority and mainly serving Philadelphia and its metro area, one of SEPTA's lines, the Wilmington-Newark line, actually goes into Delaware, with one of their main terminuses being Wilmington and namesake Newark, which we just passed. Newark is also a stop on some Northeast Regional train, but we're on the Acela, so we didn't stop then.
No, I meant this time.
Speaking of the Northeast Regional, we just passed a regional train going southbound. And as you can notice, the regional has two Acela 64s on it. Having two Acela 64s is a practice Amtrak recently introduced, as Amtrak has also flipped half the seats on the majority of its Amfleet cars in order to have quicker turnaround times, and therefore more frequencies. Prior to that, the only seats that were half one way and half the other were on the Acelas.
Wilmington, Delaware.
Sleepy Joe's spot.
Huh?
Sleepy Joe's spot. My man.
I like that. I like that nickname a lot better than the new Crooked Joe.
Amtrak Joe.
Yeah, I like Amtrak Joe too.
As we approach our stop at Wilmington, we eventually go up onto an elevated section of track. Currently, towns on the Northeast Corridor in the northern parts of Delaware are the only areas that have passenger rail connections. However, there have been various proposals to have some sort of passenger rail, most likely commuter rail, start from Wilmington and reach the southern parts of Delaware by rail, but we shall see if that ultimately does happen.
We are coming into our next station stop, Wilmington, Delaware. If you're exiting Wilmington, please take the time to gather your personal belongings and make your way to the nearest exit. Wilmington, Delaware is coming up.
Alright, well, that's where we're stopping. I'm gonna go get this up. Here's what's going to do.
Okay.
We're now arriving, Wilmington, Delaware. All doors will open on the left. Please watch your step. Wilmington, Delaware, now arriving. Watch your step. There will be no gap between the train and the station step. Wilmington, Delaware, now arriving.
We've reached Wilmington, Delaware, and the station is Wilmington Station, which also carries the name of Joseph R. Biden. Oh, not again. Joseph R. Biden Jr. Railroad Station. It gained that name in 2011 when he was the 47th Vice President of the United States. He eventually became the 46th President. Some will definitely have some opinions about that, but either way, this station has his name. Also at Wilmington, we see a SEPTA Silverliner 5. SEPTA was the original buyer of the Silverliner 5s, and RTD later followed suit. Even though they look very similar from the outside, there are a few differences, like the kind of overhead catenary they run on, and their horns, which are the differences between the Silverliner 5s on both RTD and SEPTA. We've departed Wilmington. Next stop, the city of brotherly love. Or the city where it's always sunny, depending on who you are.
We just don't want to annoy you. One time I was on a train with a girl like 4. We just rode from Raleigh to Charlotte. We love the trains.
Is that the old bug factory? No, is that some sort of car manufacturer factory? I definitely saw 2 things that looked like one of the fronts of the CTA cars in Chicago. But you said you were only going to get 1 coffee.
No, I'm saying I barely made it with the 1 alive. Like if I had 2, I would have definitely. I'm back in the hallway. I took a shoulder hit to the wall and I got spilled.
If you couldn't hear my dad, he had a really rough time walking from the cafe car to our coach. Supposedly, the new Avelia sets are a lot smoother, especially since they have Jason's bogies, but again, I'll eventually have to ride the Avelia for myself to see if that's really the case, or if it's just blazing by new train enthusiasts.
We've been lucky so far, nobody joining us, huh? Can you believe you thought that I would have missed the train? How disappointed would you have been if I would have missed the train? Incredibly disappointed.
I would have been concerned of what to. I would have just been concerned of what to do next. Like, would I get off at the next station?
I would have got the next train. You would have taken care of my stuff.
It's just would be a major inconvenience
because I would
because
be paying extra money. It would be my fault, but I wouldn't do that to you.
okay.
Have I ever done anything like that to you? Never. Come on. You always worry about it. Even Damon, you're always worried about it.
Look, on the Coast Starlight, you mentioned how you went to the bathroom and the fact that when you heard the horn you panicked. You used the bathroom in the station, and when you heard the horn you panicked and drove missed the train.
I don't think it was. I just
no.
It was the first horn, right?
Yeah, the first horn. Thankfully, unlike on that line, there are actually multiple trains on this line.
Right. Exactly. It would have been a problem that would have been very solvable. Hopefully it would have taken good care of my equipment. But the thing is I wouldn't do it. So, I don't know, you're always worried about stuff that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, the world could end tomorrow, too. Should we worry about that?
The world what?
The world could end tomorrow. The Earth could blow up in a huge, whatever. I mean, you want to worry about that?
And not really. I just think, well, all our troubles are over.
Amongst other things, all our opportunities.
Well, our troubles are over.
Hey, don't forget the song too loud.
Okay. Our troubles are over. Because it's a failure. It's no use pretending. Oh wow, Silverliner 4s and Silverliner 4s and SEPTA's Reading heritage in it.
At least I think I saw the Reading mark on that Silverliner 4. Speaking of the 4s, they are the oldest rolling stock on SEPTA's fleet, being in service since 1974. However, because of that, recent fire issues have arose with the Silverliner 4s, and as a result, SEPTA has fast-tracked a replacement process, with brand new Silverliner 6s being on the way. Who knows how long the 4s will last. And in addition, we're passing through Chester, Pennsylvania, the site of a fatal train crash in 2016. On April 3rd, 2016, Amtrak's Palmetto was headed southbound on Track 3. However, some maintenance crews were supposed to do maintenance on Track 2, but when they were bringing a backhoe in for Track 2, they didn't properly communicate with dispatch and the crew, and the Amtrak crew was unaware of the backhoe being moved. And when they did, it was already too late. The train hit the backhoe at 7:50 a.m., killing the two workers in the backhoe instantly. PTC was active, but the maintenance crews failed to deploy a supplemental shunting device. In the end, human error was the cause of the crash. But in October 2017, a newspaper article from the Washington Post claimed that one of the Amtrak maintenance crews that was killed in the crash took oxycodone, while the other was taking sugar, while the Amtrak engineer of the Palmetto had taken grass. But it doesn't seem like anything came from that article. The lead locomotive, 627, was written off, parted out, and eventually scrapped.
Old material handling car.
We also passed by a Phase 3 Amtrak material handling car that definitely has seen better days.
Philadelphia.
Pennsylvania too.
Huh?
That cafe doesn't look like anything great.
Doesn't look like anything
That's all
great.
we have for 7 hours. That's a pretty Gypsy Cafe. Alright, I get to work, which is... Oh, you know what?
Right.
We gotta get some, remember they offer that stuffed animal thing that you want. You gotta find out where to buy that.
What? Oh, you mean plushie?
Plushie? Is that what you
like
call it?
Like, what kind of stuff?
You sent it to me for Christmas. It was at Acela.
Yeah, it's an Acela plush.
So, where they have one in the station? That'll be after 7. Maybe it'll be open.
Possibly.
Maybe they sell them on board.
So we're seeing if they do. Oh, looks like that's the line that goes to the airport.
As we head towards Philly, the SEPTA Airport line eventually joins our line. Another SEPTA line merges onto our line, that time being the Media Wawa line.
Where are we?
Huh?
Where are we?
I think we're in Philadelphia now.
You don't have to think. Just look on the map. I got you. Yep, Billy.
Well, hey, freight train up there. Dad, I think you know what this means.
Mark, coming into
play
our
Philly
next station,
tonight.
stop Philadelphia, 30th Street Station. If this is your station, stop down your person belong and check mark and make your way to a Philly.
As we enter Philly, my dad takes a photo of me, and I cheekily play the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia theme.
Oh, maybe that train we saw last night was an inspection train. Also nice.
As we entered Philly, I humorously decided to continue playing the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia theme. This is 30th Street Station. It is a hub for Amtrak as well as SEPTA, and a terminus for New Jersey Transit's Atlantic City line. It originally opened in 1933 to partially replace Broad Street Station, even though Broad Street stayed open until the 1950s, when it was closed and demolished, meeting the same fate New York Penn Station would meet a decade later. The station's official name only came about in 2020 when it added William H. Gray III on the station name in honor of William H. Gray.
Yeah, 30th Street Station now arriving in Philly.
Damn it. I missed the it's moving.
Not only is 30th Street Station a hub, but there's also a yard here. There are some Avelia sets likely waiting to be sent back to Alstom for refitting before entering service, as well as the Amtrak Cascades Airo set, which is definitely making, name that makes me cringe, scream in agony. The reason that this train is in the northeast and not the northwest is because the NEC and Keystone Corridor are set to be testing grounds for the Airo sets, as well as see how the Cascades Airo train sets that don't have an ALC-42E handle with the existing Cascades SC-44s. One set, a set without the ALC-42E, has finished testing on the NEC and Keystone Corridor and is headed for the Pacific Northwest for more testing before it enters regular service, or daily torch, on the Cascades later this year. Quite a couple of people have very negative feelings about the Airo sets, whether it's because of reliability concerns or the fact that they hate anything new in general. But either way, I think the last thing you'll hear from people who hate anything Siemens related is something along the lines of, "Oh my god, this horn is not an American horn! This is such heresy! Oh!" Primarily because the Airo sets are said to have the ACS-64 horn, which is the horn that pretty much everyone likes. More Airo sets for the Northeast are also being built in Florence, California for locomotives, APVs, and cab cars, at least from what it looks like, and Lexington, North Carolina for the regular coaches. It's possible more Airo sets for lines like Front Range Passenger Rail could eventually be built, especially since Amtrak has over 200 more options for additional Airo sets. But time will tell in those regards. Now we are leaving the Airo set and those Frenchies behind. In addition, that rail line over there is a CSX line for trains heading in and out of Philly or just bypassing Philly but not using the B&O tracks. Also over there is the Keystone Corridor. The Keystone Corridor goes from Philadelphia to Harrisburg. The Pennsylvania Railroad originally wanted the electrification to go all the way to Pittsburgh, but economic issues, World War II, and a general downturn in traffic along American railroads ultimately resulted in those electrification plans to go all the way to Pittsburgh being abandoned. We're now passing North Philadelphia Station. It was a suburban stop for the PRR and previously had the names New York Junction and Germantown Junction. For a lot of PRR trains that headed from New York City to the west, it was their Philadelphia stop. After decay for years, the original structure has been restored and now serves some Keystone trains as well as SEPTA.
Shipping off to Boston way. Shipping off.
We just passed underneath the Market-Frankford Line, which is pretty much the main metro line for Philadelphia.
Pretty sure it's something different now, but I'm just so used to Market-Frankford.
And I got in pretty late on Friday night, so like I'm like, no, we're all tired. Like I really want the 2 days of sleep because like Saturday I'm washing clothes, I'm cleaning my house. Like Sunday it's like, all right, so
We passed under that bridge, and I knew where we were. Frankford Junction, the location of two of the deadliest wrecks on the Northeast Corridor that happened decades apart. In 1943, the PRR's Congressional Limited was traveling through Frankford Junction, but the train was made up of some older cars that had journal boxes, and as the train passed through North Philadelphia Station, workers noticed flames coming out of one of the journal boxes. But when they rang the signal tower at Frankford Junction, it was already too late to stop the train, and the journal box seized the axle, causing the car and the train itself to derail. 79 people of the 516 on board the Congressional Limited died in the 1943 wreck at Frankford Junction. In the end, the journal box was determined to have caused the crash, even though mechanics at the PRR swore it was in good order. Who knows what actually happened to the journal box between then and the crash. 72 years later, Amtrak Train 188 was traveling on its evening run from Washington to New York when the engineer of the train got distracted by radio chatter and thought he was past the junction when he wasn't. He sped the train up until he saw the curve and slammed the emergency brakes, but by then it was already too late. The train derailed at 9:23 p.m., killing 8 people of the 238 that were on board at that time, and injuring over 200. Human error was determined to be the cause of the crash, and because of the accident, a lot of scrutiny over safety was hurled at Amtrak, especially in relation to PTC, which some argued could have prevented the accident. But PTC just can't prevent every single accident. There could have been more ways to prevent the crash than just PTC. The lead locomotive, 601, and some of the passenger cars were written off, and 601 is still being used as a part source. Amtrak eventually scrubbed 188 from its timetables on the Northeast Regional. The engineer, Brandon Bastian, would be charged for manslaughter before eventually being acquitted, something I still do not believe he should have been charged with in the first place. He may have been the engineer, but it just puts more mental strain on someone who was already dealing with the same pain and trauma from a crash that 200 others also suffered the same pain and trauma from. It's just not fair like that.
Hey, Dad? Sorry. Remember Remember about 10 years back where I was getting ready for school in May, and you showed me on the TV news about a wreck of an Amtrak train?
My wife picked it up yesterday.
That spot was where that wreck occurred.
Just back there?
Yeah, just back there. Occurred on May 12th, 2015.
My wife actually got advice from...
You know, last days of me in grade school.
Now that we've passed by the twisty and bendy parts of Philly, it's time to reach some higher speeds. I remember at one point you would show me news of train accidents on the TV when I was younger, or at least news of any kinds of train, or at least any kind of train news whatsoever.
Thank you so much, Acela.
We're also going to reach a section in New Jersey that can hit 160 miles per hour. The original Acelas can't hit that speed, but the Avelias can. So far it's only one 23-mile stretch, but there are proposals to have it extend to almost every single corner of the NEC, minus several curves and bridges. Time will tell in that regard as well.
That bagel place we went to?
Huh?
What was the name of that bagel place? I'll get it. You do your thing.
Definitely had something with bagel in it.
I'll get it. Bullfrog bagels. That's the name of it.
We pass another regional train, presumably a regional train that makes multiple round trips a day, especially given the fact that it had two ACS 64s on both ends.
I said, why is this guy just driving? Is this guy driving fast? She goes, no, he's just new. So it's a new engineer.
Oh. Well, only one way. Well, only one way to know how good this new engineer is, and it's just
one way to know anything.
They're
you love
quite,
to say that. There's only one way to do something.
Oh, it's definitely.
I don't know if it's true in this case. It might be true sometimes.
I've rarely had coffee without things like cream or sugar. Well, I've mostly had my coffee with French vanilla. New Jersey Transit.
Seeing that track coming off from the right means we've just passed New Jersey Transit's Morrisville Yard, and we're about to cross the border into, God forbid, New Jersey. You know, maybe there's a reason that the fastest section of the Northeast Corridor is in New Jersey, because they want to get people the hell out of New Jersey as quickly as possible.
Oh, we're in Trenton now. And I think we crossed into, God forbid, New Jersey.
We're now passing through Trenton and the Trenton Transit Center. The Trenton Transit Center is a hub for Amtrak, New Jersey Transit, and SEPTA, and we're about to transition from SEPTA territory to New Jersey Transit territory. A lot of other Amtrak trains stop at the station, but not the Acela.
Oh my god, that must be one of the long distance trains. Maybe the Crescent. Given the combi baggage passenger car.
Speaking of which, we've just passed a long distance train, presumably either the Crescent or the Silver Meteor. Now that we've reached Trenton, we're going to hit a stretch that allows us to reach 160 miles per hour. We're only going to hit 150 though, since this is the older set.
Another regional. New Jersey Transit looks like an ALP 46.
We passed an Avelia set, so I made a Meet the Spy reference.
This spy has already breached our defenses. You see what he has done to our colleagues. And worst of all, he could be any one of us. He could be in this very room. He could be you. He could be me. He could even be... What? It was obvious. He's a red spy. Watch, he'll turn red any second now. Any second now. See? Red. Oh wait, that's blood. So, we still have a problem. Big problem. Alright, who's ready to go find this spy? Right behind you. Ah, mon petit chauffeur. I don't know that last line, but had to since that was an Avelia set.
See the catenary start to be held up by newer poles? That's constant tension catenary, which is used on high-speed systems across the world, as well as on most other electrified rail systems in the US, like Caltrain. There are several proposals for all the catenary along the NEC to be replaced with constant tension catenary, but apart from this section, nothing is concrete as of yet. One day, man. One day.
looks like this is the part of the line where we can hit 160.
Also, somewhere around this point, I completely forgot that my camera had a 20-minute video limit, and therefore the recording got canned because it reached the 20 minutes. So I ultimately had to start up a new recording.
That could be like almost like a free sponsor. You could do others because you want to volunteer for them, right? Because they're a non-profit.
Yeah.
But then you could do another like. I think the other one, the Transportation Museum, I'm not sure if that's a non-profit or not. So they might want some. I don't know. It's a good profession.
That had a Metroliner cab car.
Say it.
That train had a Metroliner cab car. ALP 45.
ALP 45. Do we just say that to each other every so often?
I'm just saying locomotive models, yeah.
My man.
We passed by the Newark Liberty Airport Station, where both Amtrak and New Jersey Transit stop here, though for Amtrak it's mostly the regional. An air train goes all the way from that station to Newark Liberty International Airport. At one point, Amtrak had a code share agreement with Continental Airlines that later carried on into United. And that code share agreement primarily stemmed from Newark Liberty International Airport and that Newark Liberty Airport Station. However, that code share agreement was ultimately canned.
Okay.
We're coming into our next station stop, downtown Newark, New Jersey Penn Station. If you're exiting Newark, take this time to gather your personal belongings, check around your area.
Here at Newark Penn Station, we begin to see several PATH trains. PATH is a metro system that operates between New York and Newark. In fact, 2 PATH lines that originated from Newark Penn Station travel to serve Midtown Manhattan as well as the financial district at the World Trade Center. In fact, the original PATH WTC station was built in 1971, but was destroyed on September 11, 2001, when the Twin Towers collapsed, also destroying several PATH cars with the collapse. But 2 PATH cars survived the World Trade Center collapse and destruction of the original PATH station and are now on display at the Seashore Trolley Museum and the Trolley Museum of New York. They were proposed to be on display at the 9/11 Memorial, but they were deemed too big for the memorial. There is also a proposal to have PATH be extended from Newark Penn Station to the Newark Liberty Airport Station, but time will tell.
PATH train. Port of Authority Trans Hudson. It's abbreviated as PATH.
Where are we now?
Newark.
No wonder.
Good thing is that we don't have to go through Newark Liberty International Airport. And that's an ALP 46.
The what, 46?
ALP 46.
Same company?
Arriving downtown Newark, New Jersey Penn Station.
Yeah.
All doors will open on the right. Please watch your step.
What's the company?
Do not love the gap between the train and the station's platform. Newark, New Jersey Penn Station.
I think Acela Brown Bavaria. Swedish company.
That wasn't correct.
Let me look it up here.
That one's heading to the World Trade Center. That train over there released.
What's the ALP 142?
ALP 46.
Bombardier ALP 46 is an electric locomotive built in Germany by Bombardier.
Are you reading an AI description? Are you reading the description summarized by AI?
Is it wrong?
Huh?
Is it wrong?
It doesn't sound right to me.
Doesn't sound right.
ALP 46. Oh, sorry. I think I mixed up a company because I know that there was a prior locomotive called the ALP 44 that was built by Acela Brown Bavaria.
Harrison, let's keep it simple.
Okay.
So ALP is Bombardier probably, right?
I think ALP means something different.
Okay.
But
let me see.
But yeah, these are.
Can I trust Wikipedia or no?
Sure.
Okay.
Though.
Just asking you. I didn't know what your standards were.
By the way, Dad was definitely pronouncing it as Bombardier and not Bombardier, as most others do, so he's learned that pronunciation from somewhere different, so please do not chastise him for that. Alright? We're departing Newark, so let's get out of Jersey.
Oh, are there plugs over there? Yeah, that would be great.
Best keep it plugged in.
This is a tragedy. It's the worst.
Hey, this stop is called Harrison.
A lot of stops Harrison. There's a Harrison and
We're passing by a PATH station stop and a town that's called Harrison. Damn, I didn't really know that I was a narcissist. I may need to get some therapy about that. We're passing over the Sawtooth Bridges, and much like a lot of other pieces of infrastructure along this line, it was built in the 1910s. Currently, Amtrak is seeking a replacement of the Sawtooth Bridges and expanding the tracks from 2 tracks to 4. Supposedly, construction will ultimately begin in 2029. Again, time will tell in that regard.
somewhere.
Honestly, it's probably like the same as yours, that is. Together. It is more our tickets than Boston.
I think this would. I did something.
All right,
did you find it? Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
We're about to cross the Portal Bridge. However, the original Portal Bridge is so old that there have been years of delays with both Amtrak and NJ Transit trains that the bridge is set to be replaced. But, and this is a major but, the replacement for the bridge actually exists and is in operation. Well, half in operation anyways, as of the making of this video. The Portal North Bridge is what those tracks heading up a grade lead to. It is a fixed span, meaning it doesn't have to open for barges, even though it's slightly too low for some tugboats. As of the making of this video, only west and southbound trains cross the new bridge, while north and eastbound trains still cross the old bridge. But that won't be the case later this year, as trains will completely shift onto the new bridge, and the old bridge will be demolished. But if the proposals end up being correct, a Portal South Bridge could end up getting built along the right-of-way that the original Portal Bridge that we're crossing over exists on. For now though, here's what the NEC crossing of the Hackensack River looked like in March 2026.
Your new portal bridge is in the works. And the bridge is already here. Damn, those other trains are traveling so much faster than we are.
Which one?
The trains on the other line.
Really?
Yeah, I already saw two. Yeah, I already saw three New Jersey transit trains traveling the other direction over the new bridge, nonetheless.
So newer technology?
No, a brand new bridge.
Brand new bridge.
And not to mention the bridge we're going on, it has an egregiously slow speed limit. But that bridge can allow trains to meet 90 miles per hour.
That's egregiously slow, 90 miles per hour.
No, that's faster than the bridge we went over, which is 60.
As we head towards New York Penn Station, we pass through Secaucus Junction.
Oh no, you're fine. I just did it here. Yeah.
Hey Dad, look over there. That's the World Trade Center. Imagine how it must have been like when the original Twin Towers was still there.
Over there is construction for two brand new Hudson River tunnels. As of the making of this video, the two Hudson River tunnels are set to begin boring underneath the Hudson River. Hopefully the two new Hudson River tunnels will be completed in 2035 as of the making of this video. Afterwards, the tunnels we're about to enter will begin basically an open heart surgery operation of reconstruction. That's because on top of the tunnels being gold, in 2012, we had Hurricane Sandy, replacement restaurant, and the tunnels got salt from seawater all over them, and the salt has resulted in the concrete chipping away in the tunnels. Several temporary measures to keep the existing tunnels from collapsing and causing a real-life situation of this one Russian movie from 2013 were put in place by Amtrak, but they're band-aids on what needs to be open-heart surgery. The new tunnels being built are ultimately part of that plan, as when they open, Amtrak will be able to shut these tunnels down to reconstruct them and gain a 4-track main line west of Penn Station in the process by 2038.
We'll be arriving our next station stop, New York City, Penn Station, running at Curry Hall.
Let's just get up there. Right.
For everything what is occurring was to make it for those passengers traveling beyond New York City, we are having a crew meeting.
Are you gonna go out on this trip?
Upon departure from New York City,
Yeah. Yeah, for a brief moment.
I was supposed to fly out of New York City tonight. Flight was already delayed from Boston to Philadelphia, and I didn't want to rent. They're supposed to, because there were storms here, so they were waiting. And while they were waiting, a line of storms were over there, so they would.
It's taking so long that I have a feeling that my recording could get canceled because of how hot my camera is.
And they finally
okay.
I was like,
It's happened before.
Does it get hotter at night? So you're gonna go get us a cheeseburger later, or what?
Yep.
Say what? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Are you gonna get it on video, or are you just gonna go get us a cheeseburger?
Just get us a cheeseburger. Yeah, or at least we were directly underneath the Hudson River.
As we head into New York Penn Station, a westbound New Jersey transit train leaves New York Penn Station on its way to who knows where.
This must be pretty strange to build a huge cavity underneath the railroad.
We're now arriving, New York City, Penn Station, morning and train hall, all doors will open on the platform side. New York City, Penn Station, morning and train hall, please watch your step when exiting. There will be that gap between the train and station platform. Thank you for using Amtrak.
And over there are a couple of electric multiple units from Pennsy Fan 19's favorite railroad, Long Island Railroad.
So I actually that one particular day, I remember I was in Fort Lauderdale because I had an overnight there. We ended up going to New Orleans, Louisiana, to pick up a flight. So we went to Connecticut, and I got a train and spent the night in New York, all in 24 hours. I was in Florida and New Orleans. It was just, I was like, this is like, this is weird. It was a mess though, because we were actually supposed to get home before, and I was all upset because I was supposed to be like my daughter. But anyway, we got a hotel in New York City.
We have now arrived at the halfway point of our journey, New York Penn Station.
We just walked around, we went shopping, we ate lunch, we stayed in a nice fancy hotel. And no, you're fine. No, you're okay.
Since we have 20 minutes or so at Penn Station, I decided to exit the train and try and take some pics around both our train and some other trains before we ultimately have to leave Penn Station.
How long is the train here for? Huh? Okay. Alright. Make this quick, Harry!
Although I was a little in a panic then, right now I am in a less time-sensitive position that I'll end the video here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you for part 2, where we head all the way to Boston and ride the MBTA.